Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Nurse Mark and the Green Nurse Daily Dose of AFA.
Where we bring you hope and inspiration for growth and healing so you can start your day off the AFA way. In case you have forgotten, I'm going to tell you right now, we are going to remind you every single day. Mark?
Because you need to be reminded because you're human and you'll fall back into the trap of believing the bullshit that's been layered on your whole life. You are absolutely fucking amazing exactly as you are. There is no need to be doing anything better or fixing anything about you. You are perfectly, absolutely amazing.
And we love you. And Mark wrote a book about this. He wrote a book
did.
all about
Yes.
transformation, self-love, and how he was able to push through and get through everything using
All about self-love.
Yes.
All about self-love.
Yes,
And
it is.
it's not as if my life wasn't amazing before.
Yep.
Pre-transformation, pre-self-loving.
I agree. I'm gonna
Right?
I'm gonna parallel right along.
Life, but
It was a
there
great
was
life.
There was a lot of just angst.
Well, I'm gonna step in, and I can totally identify what you feel, and I'm gonna give like stories to go along with it, like giving a part of myself away.
Yeah.
Which is great because as compassionate, empathic, caring, holistic nurses, that's what we do is we give, right?
Yeah.
But then what about receiving? Right. And so when we're looking to receive from others, right. So here's the thing that I learned. I'm looking to receive from others. But what if I could give to myself what I'm looking for someone else to give me? How powerful is that?
That's how I ended up being single for a year. Like I said, I had to take a break, before I ended up, before I ended up getting married. I had to take a break because I realized that I had always been with somebody from the age of 15 on. I always had at least one, sometimes 2, 3, or 4 relationships going at once, depending on where I was in my singleness.
Really?
Yeah. And so it's exhausting. I don't recommend it for anybody. Really. It's expensive. It's exhaustive. You have to try to remember who you were talking. It's just awful. It's awful. So now I'm glad I'm married to this one amazing human being because it's a hell of a lot easier. And I learned you always have to be honest because it's so much easier and less work to be honest than it is to lie. Anyway, I don't know how we get down that road.
Oh, I know.
I had to take a year. I'd take a year to be with me. Like 2019 was the year of being with Mark. Like I dated myself. Like I literally did things that I wanted to do. And, it was hard because, as the empath, and the pattern for me was make other people happy so that they love you. Because I had this thing in the back of my head that I was unlovable. And that was from a very early age. We make these statements. My statement was that I was unlovable. And so in every relationship, didn't matter if it's business or love or whatever it was, I had to make you love me because that was my source of love, you.
Yeah.
And how much that's awful pressure for people in the relationship. They don't even know. Yeah, childhood trauma, and sometimes, Melissa, childhood trauma, if you look at it from the outside, it isn't really that bad. I mean, it's not that traumatic, but for a 5-year-old or younger kid, that event was just as traumatic as being, stabbed with a knife. And it could be different, right? So Melissa, good morning.
I know. Well, here it is. It's like you even as a kid, like you being reprimanded for the first time in a way that's harsh.
Yeah,
that can stick with you. It's all of a sudden
with you. You don't know.
Becomes this huge tornado in your head, and you keep building upon building upon building. I knocked the Christmas tree over when I was 3, so I'm the worst person ever.
Right. So at 3 years old, that event stamped into your psyche. And so the statement that I made was, I'm unlovable. So what do I have to do in every relationship? Be the people pleaser, make sure I know what you need, give everything of myself. And then I get to a point where I'm like, well, I expect it to come back to me in return without even letting the other person know that any of this is in play. I don't even know it's in play.
Right. Yeah, it's
Anyway,
unconscious.
it was not good for relationships, and I would lose myself in the relationship. And so I had to take a year off, and
Yeah,
I learned how to love me. And
too.
so now I have no requirement of other people to love me. Like, I am good within myself, and that's why I wrote the book, frankly, is to
Here you
give people
go.
a little bit of insight and to understand that when they get to this magical place of actually providing love for yourself and
Yes.
stepping out of the story, because it's all
Yes.
just a story,
It is a story.
you know, you can have the most amazing relationships because there's no expectation or pressure on the other person
Yeah.
that you don't even
Yeah.
may even not even know that you're putting on that other person.
Yeah.
So, well, there
Free
you
to be
go.
you and me. Free to be you and me. You know,
Free to be you and me. You know what? I'm gonna
yes.
be me because everybody else is taken. I love
Everybody else is
it.
taken.
Yeah.
Yes. That was great. So daily love. So this is it. Mark wrote absolutely fucking amazing, living the life you love.
Yep.
And he has a daily love every single morning.
Every morning. It's been a year now. I can't
Yeah.
believe the year's gone by. And so, you know, I pull from different readings.
Hmm.
And today I pulled from Conversations with God, which was just
Good
a
one.
pivotal book for me. That was just such a great book. And in this one, God and Neil, it's Conversations with God. So God's having this conversation with the author, Neil Donald Walsh.
Hmm.
And in this part of the book, God is talking to Neil about how sickness and illness are self-generated. So it's pretty cool. And so here, let's just dive right into it real quick. So it says, here we go. Most people, so even conventional medical doctors are now seeing how people make themselves sick. So most people do so quite unconsciously. They don't
Yeah.
even know what hit them and they feel like it's something that's befallen them. But it occurs because most people walk through life unconscious, whether it's health issues or other things. They walk through life unconsciously. So people smoke and wonder why they get cancer. They ingest animals and fat and wonder why they get blocked arteries. People stay angry all their lives and wonder why they have heart attacks. They
There you go.
compete with other people mercilessly and under great stress and wonder why they have strokes. But the not so obvious truth is that most people worry themselves to death.
There you go.
That's the message today. Worry is just about the worst form of mental anxiety there is, next to hate, which is deeply self destructive. Worry is pointless, it's wasted mental energy, and it also creates biochemical reactions in the
It
human body.
certainly
Leads
does.
to everything from ulcers and digestion to coronary arrest and everything else. And here's the thing, health will improve almost at once when worrying ends.
Yes. Absolutely right here. So how do we stop worrying? There's the tool, right?
Oh my gosh, so many
Be
different. Good morning, we. Yeah,
yeah,
we
so
are
here
going up. It's up.
we yes. So
So
what do we need to do to not
right.
worry, right? So here it is
Huh?
yesterday's history, tomorrow's a mystery. All we have is right now. You guys, if you've heard these corny sayings all along, but it's true. Look down at your feet, get present in your body. And
Yeah.
here's the question I ask myself.
Yeah.
You know, I'm worried about what I may have done yesterday. Is there anything I can do about it?
No.
No. So carry
No.
on. Carry
So,
on.
you know what I loved? So,
Mhm.
I love the 12-step programs,
Yeah,
right?
me
There are
too.
there are tools in every program or every self-help that you look at. There are tools that you can pick up.
Yeah.
And, some people like me fall into the category of always exploring the latest in the self-help genre and working it. The truth of the matter is if you just pick something and use it, it all works. So in the
Yeah.
12 steps, like every night, you do an inventory of how you were during the day. Did I
Right.
hurt somebody else? Was I harsh? Was it like you scan your day? And at the end of the day, you say, okay, I'm human. I forgive
Yeah.
myself for that. If I need to make an amends to somebody, I'm going to
Yes.
wake up tomorrow and I'm going to give them a call and say, Sherry, I'm sorry I was really harsh on that. That cleans it up. 24 hours. You
Yes.
just need to work on that day. That's one of the tools. So
Right.
worrying about stuff
Yeah, worrying
will
about the
kill you.
past. And then the
Yeah.
same thing, worrying about the
Yeah.
future. Right here it is I got
Oh
all
my
these thoughts in
God.
my head. I mean, I just did it. Like I was away for 5 days and that was like I created a story in my head of all the
Yeah.
possibilities of what could go wrong.
Well, of course. Yeah, yeah. No. Did any of them come true?
No,
Yeah. Every time I talk about worry, I have to talk about my grandfather. Good morning, Joe. I got to
Hey,
talk about my
Joe.
grandfather. My
Right.
grandfather was a great guy, but he was one of those guys, comes from a generation where you never talked about how you felt or anything about your life. Like my father went on a hunting trip with him when he was younger and said, "Dad, tell me about your life." And he turned to him and said, "Well, I was born, I'm living, I'm gonna die." That was it. That was all he shared, right? So I'm sitting with my grandfather, and he's in his mid 80s. And again, this guy never said anything about anything. And he just turned to me and he said, "Listen, Mark, I worried about stuff all my life, and none of it came true. I
There you go.
wasted so much time worrying, and I don't want you to make the same mistake." And that was profound because again, this guy shared nothing. And then
You,
he came out with this gem, which I hold today. Um, you know, I come
yeah,
from a long line of warriors, Sherry. We're good at it.
we're
We're
good at it.
professionals.
And that's why
Yeah,
we're stopping it. We're stopping it right here, right now. Because it's what time
right.
is it,
Keep
Mark?
recognizing.
It's now.
It's now. Oh, what time is it? It's now.
It's
So,
now.
yeah. So here's the thing. Worry is just a waste of time. Whatever's
Energy.
going to happen will happen. And guess what? When it happens, you'll deal with it.
Yeah,
Morning,
absolutely.
Denise. You
Good
will deal
morning.
with it, whatever that is at that moment. And
I'm gonna give you one other quick thing too. This is a
yep,
really kind of a funny story. So looking back, this is great. So I look back of when issues with my son, myself getting sick. You look back at all of the stuff you went through. I look back
yeah,
and I'm like, you can't make this shit up. So if I had known, this is a statement of fact. If
yeah.
I had known of all of the trials, tribulations, life journeys, things that kind of didn't feel good, if I had known that I was going to have to experience that, I would have been like, no, thank you. I didn't sign up for that. I'm not doing that. Right. So you just think about if I had known that. But this is the
Mhm.
thing is life comes at you as it is. And I
Yeah.
dealt with it. So
Of
these
course you did.
tough. So that builds resilience, builds
Does.
bravery, builds it's
Mhm.
grit, just showing up and grinding through no matter what.
No matter what. So,
Right.
don't
Cannabis.
worry, be happy.
Don't worry, be happy. And cannabis helps. So ties right into cannabis.
Boom. Terpene Tuesday rolling right into a hug and a
Mhm.
nug, Sherry.
A hug and a nug. So cannabinoids are amazing, amazing adaptogens that helps our body to adapt to stress. It's been a pivotal tool for my mental health to shift
Mhm.
perspective, to shift consciousness, to think of another way of living, being, showing up in life, and taking care of
Right.
myself. So part of
Mm.
the plant is terpenes. The plant has so many different components to it.
Mm.
Cannabinoids,
Oh, yeah.
terpenes, essential fatty acids, bioflavones, cannaflavins, this whole rich plant. So today, we're going to break it down even further down to terpenes. Today's terpene is terpineol. But first, I'm going to let Mark get into what a terpene is.
Oh, Sherry, you know I love to talk about
I know
terpenes.
you do.
So they're organic compounds that produce specific smells and tastes. And they're found in cannabis and other plants, essential oils, trees, foods. And in cannabis and other plants, terpenes help to ward off attacks from animals, insects, and fungus during the growth cycle of the plant. So
Yeah.
they're used as a defense mechanism. And when a cannabis plant goes through the curation process, the terpenes become oxidized, resulting in what we know now are terpenoids. And they contribute to the entourage effect and have their own healing properties, which we don't understand completely, but that's true of most things that we put in our bodies.
Yeah.
The entourage effect suggests that utilizing cannabinoids and terpenes together and flavonoids and the other compounds that are found within a cannabis plant together, they produce a more potent medicinal effect rather
Hmm.
than using the isolated compounds. This has
There
been
you go.
studied. We all agree that it's true.
Yep.
The whole of the plant, Sherry, which you love to say, and I love it, the whole
Yeah.
of the plant is greater than its individual parts.
Yes, it is.
Jerry, tell me about terpineol. What's it all about?
Terpineol. So this is first of all to start. Sometimes I can't pronounce these words. And so if you Google a word, it comes up and it'll say it over and over. So terpineol, what is it all about? So plants containing terpineol, they've been used for centuries. in all kinds of natural remedies. This is what we've seen over and over. They've been around forever. For example, lime blossom is also referred to as the linden flower, and it was used in traditional European medicine to treat colds, coughs, and flu, right?
Yep.
And then there's a tea form of this lime blossom that has terpeneol in it, and it was called the nectar of kings for its soft, sweet scent and health benefits. So terpeneol smells like lilac, pine, citrus, lime, woody, floral. It's like a whole vast, when I think when you burn it, it just goes through these different phases of smells that people can pick up and just source out as to how it feels in their body when they're smelling it. So some of the natural sources where you find terpeneol is pine trees, tea tree. So you think of all these smells, they're all different, and they can all of these smells can incorporate one terpene. So this is what's so cool. Pine tree smells different than tea tree oil, smells different than limes, lemons, juniper berry, and nutmeg. So all of these different smells are found in this terpene, which I find is really fascinating. What about everyday life, Mark? Where do we find?
Used as a scent and flavoring agent in foods and perfumes and cosmetics, soaps, lotions, and cleaning products. It's very common for terpenes to be used in these things because of their smell and what it does actually to you. Makes you feel happier or uplifted, whatever it might be. So these types of products have a gentle lilac profile, and they may contain terpeneol. And it's found in Lapsang Souchong tea. My mother loved Lapsang tea, and I hated it. I would tell it because it's got a smoky pine aroma, and it's used as a flavoring agent in baked goods.
Yes.
All right, Cher, tell us about medicinal properties and therapeutic benefits.
Oh, some of my favorite things. So when we talk about cannabinoids and terpenes, specifically this terpene, it acts as an anti-inflammatory.
Yes.
Decreasing inflammation for analgesia, antioxidant to fight free radicals, acts as an anti-tumor, and it has antimicrobial or antibacterial properties. This one I really, really like because just think about how this could work for so many different things. So terpeneol can enhance the permeability of the skin, so the skin's ability to take in something. So terpeneol can enhance the permeability of skin to lipid-soluble compounds. So cannabinoids are fat, right?
Yep.
Which may help create a topical entourage with these different types of cannabinoids. So that's really cool. So here's an example. So if a patient wants to utilize the anti-acne effects of this of cannabinoid, CBD, so if you combine this terpene with it, a small amount of terpeneol might improve the bioavailability, which could actually improve potential therapeutic benefits. I think that's fascinating.
And when we're talking about acne, people who suffer with this, it usually starts during adolescence, right? It's a harsh thing. I mean, it's just something that you're at a point in your life where you want to fit in with everybody, and this is something that kind of makes you feel like you're outside of that. And the medications that are used, Sherry, have you read any of them? Yeah. Have you read
I haven't.
Pharmaceutical medications, some of the inserts?
No, I don't. I try to avoid it at all costs. I know.
Scary stuff, right? So if cannabis and terpenes and terpeneol, if this can help to treat that, amazing, in a much more safe and effective way. And morning, Sadie. Hey, Janice, you're right. Worry is a waste of energy.
Worry is a waste of energy. So
studies.
Okay, so this was in the Cannakeys. There were 22 studies total, no double-blind studies, no human clinical trials. So all the studies were done in the animal in labs with these various compounds.
Right, which is common in early, when you're starting to study the properties of anything, it usually starts with animal and lab studies, and then it progresses until the final studies are going to be these randomized control trials in the human environment. So there's a process. So, let's recognize we're still so early on.
I know.
Oh my God, we're so early on in what's to be discovered about cannabis and terpenes.
Yep, we are.
Yep.
So the part that's really cool too about Cannakeys is they break it down even further. So they break down these 22 studies and the different organ systems that were included in the studies. So the different studies by organ system with terpeneol include the nervous system, digestive system, immune system, respiratory, integumentary, which is skin, mental, emotional, brain, nervous system,
Mhm.
endocrine, and muscular. So just think they
Right.
were able to incorporate all of this into, they were able to see results and effects in all of
Right.
these different organ systems with this terpene. So that's,
Mhm.
let that light bulb go off. That's huge to me. All of these
Right.
different organ systems are being affected by this terpene. So
Yeah.
what about the top conditions, Mark?
So bacterial infections, we know
Yeah.
that cannabis has antibacterial properties. MRSA's being one of the ones that it's very effective for, right?
Yes.
Lung cancer, asthma, peripheral neuropathy, which is not treated
Mm,
well with any other pharmaceutical medication, stomach ulcers, depression, liver cancer, fatty liver disease, and herpes.
there you go. That's a lot of stuff. So we get
That's a
back to the,
lot of stuff.
it's really, it's
Yeah.
exciting that the potential for this. So some
Oh,
studies.
yep.
So we're going to go over for a few studies because I,
Let's go.
these, that makes sense. It just shows us where
Mhm,
we are and where the
mhm,
potential of where we can go. So 2007, there was a study published in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry, and
mhm.
another one published in 2010, very similar in the Basic Clinical Pharmacology.
Right.
So this was a study on the anti-inflammatory effects of terpeneol. So
Mhm,
what it yielded, I love this, it yielded positive results as a potential new component to treat inflammation and pain.
mhm.
There you go.
Yeah.
Positive, positive.
Yes. So there was a study done in 2011, an antioxidant study in food and chemical toxicology. It indicated that terpeneol had a stronger antioxidant effect when compared to commercial antioxidants. The
Interesting.
scientists found this outcome to be encouraging for future studies with terpeneol, fighting certain types of cancer, such as breast cancer and chronic myeloid leukemia.
There you go. That's,
Mm.
that is powerful
Speaking of
too. So
cancer, what's the next one, Cher?
the next one, anti-cancer study of 2010, was
Mhm,
published in the Anti-Cancer Research. What this study suggested was that terpeneol inhibited the growth of in vitro cancerous tumor cells, especially
mhm.
those of small cell lung carcinoma.
Yeah,
So basically, this may be able to destroy certain cancer cells, such as lung cancer and leukemia cells. And this has been over these past couple of studies that we just
right,
we just talked about.
right. Now,
Potential.
yeah,
Mhm.
it's potential. We can't say that any of it cures cancer. We just
Yeah,
can't. But think about
not
how many
allowed.
billions of dollars we have spent on research of all kinds on how to treat cancer, billions and billions of dollars, and yet we still don't have the answer about how to effectively cure it. We have things
Yeah,
that we do that sometimes are curative, but what do they say? You're in remission. We don't know if it'll ever come back. Can't
right.
say that we cured you of it, right?
Yeah.
So these
And
having these studies, I love to talk about these things because it's the potential for the future.
yes. And that's the thing
It
too, is
could be a better treatment.
so if you think about all these studies
Mhm.
on all these different components, so this is what it tells me, this is where my mind goes.
Yep.
Everything works and nothing works. We need to find the combination of things that work for you. And that includes cannabinoids, terpenes, essential
Yes.
fatty acids,
Right.
foods, supplements,
Mhm.
activities of daily living, right? So
Mhm.
it just,
Yeah.
so all these different studies, when you put together, the bigger picture is it works, right? That's the bigger picture, the bottom
That's
line.
right.
It
For
works,
you.
right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
What's okay, we've got an antimicrobial study in 2012 published in the Journal of Anaerobe found that terpeneol exhibited strong antimicrobial activity against oral bacteria.
Yep.
All right. And
And
oral
researchers,
bacteria is linked to cardiac health, by the way.
oh yeah, absolutely. It gets into your
Yeah.
gums. You can get
Yeah, we do
endocarditis.
know.
We do
Mhm.
know. Teeth,
Yeah.
oral hygiene, very important,
Uh-huh.
especially with cannabis consumers. Going to prevent that dry mouth. So
Yeah.
anyway, so researchers, this was what cool too. Researchers suggested, since this
Mhm.
worked really, really well
Yeah.
um, in our oral mouth, is that they suggested that they add terpeneol in
Mm.
conjunction with another terpene, linalool, to be incorporated into toothpaste and gargling solutions. How cool
Right.
is that?
Yeah. How cool is that? Yeah. I mean, probably better than fluoride. You
Yeah,
shouldn't swallow because
you
it's not
shouldn't swallow.
good.
Hmm.
But terpeneol and linalool swallow away.
It's exactly in small
Well,
amounts.
what so chemovars, what strains, I guess we'll use that term.
Yeah. Well, we break it down, right? So we're
High
going
in
to be breaking it down.
terpineol.
Right. So high in terpineol, the strains include Jack Herer, White Widow,
Yep.
Girl Scout cookies, and OG Kush.
Yeah.
And that's the part that's really cool about these different particular strains that we talk about, is that, you know, there are going to be other terpenes in it, because I know that Jack Herer can be more uplifting, OG Kush can be a little bit more sedating. So that's why we look at everything. So we can't make a blanket statement that this terpineol is going to act a specific way when you consume it.
No. And again, if it's combined with all the rest of the components of the cannabis plant, may change how it works in the human body, right? So all these different things together. Oh,
yes.
Amazing. Amazing. So there are so many therapeutic potentials for terpenoids and cannabinoids together.
So much
entourage.
Yes. And so this has been awesome. This is another Terpene Tuesday. We have covered so many of the major terpenes, and now I'm going to start digging for some of the other ones and see how we can, you know, create more content and information so you can all learn. So what do we got going on this week, Mark?
Oh, you know, Wednesday's coming, Wacky Wednesday. We have our morning shows, of course, every morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time in the US here. And on Wednesday evenings at 8 p.m., we have Nurse Mark and the Green Nurse podcast, which we do live. And we focus our efforts right now on illuminating other cannabis practitioners in the space, healthcare practitioners, which is not, you know, which is still sometimes a difficult proposition, because if you're working in the traditional system, you may not be able to say that you're involved in cannabis in any way. I mean, we have nurse practitioners that want to work with us in Massachusetts doing cannabis card certifications, but they work a 9-to-5 job for, you know, community health centers, other areas, and they can't join us to do simple certifications, not even, you know, coaching. They can't join us out of fear of losing their job. So these people that we're illuminating and talking to on Wednesday nights at 8 p.m., Sherry,
they're rock stars.
They're stepping out and saying, I don't care that it is a potential for me to have a negative work experience. I'm going to step out and I'm going to claim the fact that cannabis is a medicine.
Yes. Educate to medicate. That is what we are doing here.
Yes.
So if you're a nurse practitioner, I'm going to just plug this. If you're a nurse practitioner in Massachusetts and you're interested literally in learning about cannabis and how you could possibly contribute and, you know, certify patients.
Or if you know a physician or a physician's practice that wants to add a show, we do the business in the box thing. Like the Green Nurse can become that snap in cannabis component, and, you know,
we can incorporate it. That's it. We can incorporate anything into your practice. This is how passionate we are. This is why we show up every morning, is we want to help to get the word. So if you know any doctors that are interested, we're happy to step in. We will march right into the office or call on the phone, and we'll educate, and we'll educate patients. And this is what we say to providers too, is you will be doing, your patients will love you because you're learning something new and different that's going to be here anyways.
Right.
And it's not going away. It's only going to get bigger and stronger. And so if you're on the cutting edge, if you're on the cutting edge of using this progressive tool and even educating, or even if you don't know anything about it, refer them to us, because
that's what we're here for. Now listen, we want to bring this globally. We want to help expand this into the world, because everybody should have access to this safe and effective medicine. And it's only because of this agreed story that's been in play for 100 years that we're where we're at. So bottom line is, we're here to help spread this throughout the healthcare community globally. And we're happy to have a conversation with anybody. And you're right, Sherry, the practitioners would be doing their patients a favor, because guess what? They're all curious about it. They all have questions about it. They're just not talking to you.
Yep, absolutely. And we'll talk
to safe and use it effectively. So bring it into the fold. All right.
Bring it on. And then if you're a patient, so if you're a patient and you have chronic pain, if you're suffering from chronic debilitating illness, if you want to learn how to incorporate cannabis to bridge the gap from what you're not getting from traditional medicine, or you're interested in how to incorporate it into wellness or have a social adult use experience, we can teach you all about that. And the other thing I'm going to plug too is tonight, if you are a nurse, a health practitioner, or even a Reiki person, if you do Reiki energy healing sessions, there's a free refresher course tonight. So you go to the events and you can come and join, and you can learn, refresh. Refresh your Reiki skills.
All right.
And here we go, wrapping it up.
So good to see all of you stopping by again. We love you. We thank you for being here and adding your energy and comments to the stream of consciousness that we're throwing out there. And you know what? We're in this thing together. And remember, today is the day, March 23rd, 2021. Let's make this the day of no worry. This is it. This is the only March 23rd, 2021 we're going to get. Let's all agree we're just going to get rid of the worry today. We're just not going to worry about a thing.
No worry.
Have the most beautiful March 23rd ever. Come on.
Don't worry about a thing.
That's right.
Every little thing is going to be all right. Yes. And join us tomorrow too. We have In the Weeds Prohibition Talk Radio from 4:20 to 6:20 p.m. We're doing our Canna Talk segment. Terpene Tuesday is today. Yes, www.facebook.com/Prohibition Talk Radio. Can't forget about that. So Mark, I'm going to have an AFA day today. I'm going to, in the weeds. I've been in the weeds for the past 5 days. It was great. All right. Hey, got to wrap it up.
You're looking good. All right, folks, listen, we will see you. Love you too. Love you all. Guys. And we will see you tonight or tomorrow or wherever we're going to be.
Wherever come find us. We're here for you.
All right. All right. Have a great day, everybody. And remember, this is the no worry day. We're going to check that tomorrow morning. When you find yourself worrying about something, stop right there and say, oh shit, today's March 23rd. It's no worry day. I can't do this.
Yep. And start singing in your head. All right, Mark, what kind of a day is it going to be? It's going to be an AFA day. And what's it all about?
An AFA day. What's it all about?
It's about living your best life and helping others do the same.
Yes.